everyone is well. Um, it is a terrific Tuesday. It's a turnaround Tuesday. Woo! Turn around. It's a turnaround Tuesday. Um, it is a thankful Tuesday, a tremendous Tuesday, a talkative Tuesday. Okay. It is, thank God, I woke up out of bed today, Tuesday. Okay. Remember to set your intention for your day. Remember to um, declare what kind of day you're gonna have. Even if you got out of the bed and you were like, "Nope, don't wanna do it today." Remember to remember you have the authority and the power to speak life over yourself and over your situation. Truthful Tuesday. There we go. Tell the truth to yourself and to others, right? But my name is Anisa Wesley. This is my YouTube channel. This is Faith and Footsteps, where we put our feet to our faith and make sure that when you watch this video, you share it with someone else, that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that you I said share, like, subscribe. There you go. It's early in the morning, but I was on my walk this morning per usual, and feel like I've been thinking about something a little bit more often, where what is the cost of faith, right? What is the cost of faith? And for some of us, it's not free. Good morning. For some of us, it's not free. For some of us, your faith has cost you something, right? It's time to kill a cat again. Um, and what I mean by that is not necessarily that you have to pay, money for your faith, right? But some people have great faith because they've been through great trouble, because they've been through great tribulation, and they have had their heart broken, and they've had to have God re mend their heart over and over, right? And every time they've had to have their heart remended over, their faith has grown. And so I just think that that's so powerful, because when you see someone who's gone through a lot of stuff, not all the time, sometimes they might be bitter, right? Sometimes going through something, you know, a lot of times you got like two options. You get closer to God or you get further away. You fall into God's arms or you fall away from him. And I think that's what most people choose. I've seen it over and over again, right? And in my life, I've chosen through the heartbreak, through the pain, through the sunshine and the rain, I've chosen to, continue on with God, continue on in Him and in His grace, choose to continue to have faith in Him. Because to be honest, I don't know how I would have got through a lot of those things without Him, right? Um, and there are several scriptures in the Bible that talk about suffering, right? They talk about trials and tribulation and how these things build your patience. That's why so many people say, don't pray for patience, right? Because patience is built through those trials, through those tribulations. And I was like, well, why not pray for something that, God says is a fruit of the spirit? But now I get it, you know, because your patience will be built over time, right? Maybe you want patience so badly, which is a contradiction, right? You want patience so bad that you're praying for patience. You're impatient. You're impatient about patience. Mm. And as you live, you'll understand. You don't have to be impatient about patience. It's gonna come. The more you trust God, the more you walk with Him, your patience is gonna come. Um, and again, like I was saying, there's two ways that you can go through those trials and tribulations: get closer to Him or get further away. And unfortunately, there's so many people who've gone through these things where they become so mad at God they don't believe in Him anymore. And I always question, like, well, how are you gonna be mad at somebody that don't exist? Right? They hear it, so you're gonna get hit. Come on, you're smarter than this. Um, how you gonna how you gonna be mad at somebody that doesn't exist? I remember watching this movie called God's Not Dead, right? The professor was so like his whole class was based upon the concept that God didn't exist. But it came out later that he was just really mad at God at something that happened in his life. And that was one of the questions that the boy that he had in his class, he had the right one in his class, right? Because he challenged even his professor's belief, like, okay, if you're so mad at God, how does he not exist? Right? And I think at the end of the movie, the professor, I think he came to change. I don't remember. Go watch that movie if you want. You know, really good movie. I think there's two or three of them. But anyway, the point is when you trust God through even your hardest situations, your faith grows because now you know what the Bible says that God is going to be with you. He will never leave you, nor will He forsake you. Right? Um, and you have no choice but to focus on His word, to focus on His promises, to focus on like His character. His character is the character of someone who never changes, right? He's not, and I know that's unheard of for all of us because all of us change every day. Someday I'm in the mood, someday I'm not. Someday they want to be your friend, someday they don't. Some, sometimes they like you, sometimes they don't. They tell you they're doing something, they're not doing it. You know, we are so accustomed to how people are and even to how ourselves are that it's so challenging for us to understand the concept that God doesn't change. And not that God won't lie, He can't lie, right? He can't lie, He can't over exaggerate, He can't under exaggerate, He can't overestimate. He cannot lie. He is the truth, right? He is the truth. And so I think that when we have Him to go through our trials with and we understand who He is, it really makes a big difference in how we go through our trials. The Bible tells us in James, and James, when I see him, you know, in heaven, I'm gonna have some questions for him because he said, count it all joy When you go through various trials and tribulations, because you know that those trials and those things that you go through work patience, right? So even while you're reading, even while you're watching that movie, read the book of James. It's 5 chapters, but it might take you 5 years to get through the 5 chapters because they're so juicy. There's so much in them. Okay. But he says to count it all joy. Um, and I used to think that that meant, oh, so you want me to be happy while I'm going through this? No, not at all. That's not the point. The point is that when you go through something in life, you don't have to be happy, but you have to know that God is working this in me for something. That He's allowed this thing to happen. And notice the word allowed is very different from the word he made it happen or he did this to me. God did this to me. God made this happen to me. No, he allowed it, right? Because I think that's the thing too. Like the world we live in is evil. It's a fallen world. Bad things happen sometimes. Um, but that doesn't mean that God did it. It just means that he allowed it. And if he allowed it, that's where the joy comes in because if he allowed something to happen to you, then that means he's going to be with you through it. Don't judge my finger. He's going to walk with you through it. He's going to give you his strength. He's going to work something out with it for the good, right? He's going to use whatever has happened to you is not wasted. There's a song called Nothing is Wasted. And I think it's such a beautiful song. And if you're going through something right now, you're probably like, well, that sounds good and dandy, but I'm still going through something right now. And um, if you are, then that means that you met this alive for a reason and that you need to read James, right? You need to listen and be encouraged because I think one of the main things that I've noticed in my own grief and in sitting with others and holding others' grief for them or with them is that you always just want to get out of it. You're like, what can I do to hurry up and get out of this? That is a very common feeling, right? What can I do? I don't want to feel like this anymore. What's the quickest way out? Give me the shortcut, the cheat code, and the exit route. What is the formula? Hurry up and get out. And the secret is not a secret that there is no secret formula. There is no shortcut. There is no quick way out. There is no, right? But there is a way through. There is a way through where even when you walk through something difficult or challenging, that God will strengthen you. He will be with you. He will hold you by the right hand. You don't have to go through it alone. He will send people your way to encourage you. He will send people your way to give you um, what you need. He'll provide for you, right? He's not just gonna. Sometimes he's not just gonna take it away. Sometimes he may take away the pain. Who am I to say what God can do, right? God can take some pain away, but remember the pain that you go through is oftentimes what makes the people that have the most faith the most faithful. right? They're the ones that are the most faithful because they have gone through some stuff and they chose to not turn away from God, but to get closer to Him, right? Somebody's going to catch that on the way out, right? You're going to catch that later because you might have to watch this again. But the people that have gone through the most and have made the choice to stay close to God, they're the ones with the strongest faith. Right. Um, they're the ones. They're the ones that you go to for prayer. They're the ones that you're watching to see how they go through certain circumstances because you know that their faith is strong. They're the ones that their lives testify that God is real, right? You can see the tangible hand, well, not the tangible hand, but you can see God's hand on their life, right? You can see God's strength on them. I've had people tell me that my whole life, right? Just in my whole adult life, that they could see God's strength on me, right? They can see how God's kept me. And I think that's powerful. That's one of the best compliments that I can get because we know what the Bible says about strength. It says, in your weakness, God's strength is perfected in you. So that means I'm weak. That means I know how to be weak and I know how to allow the Lord to be strong, right? So anytime somebody sees the Lord's strength on me, they can know that I've had to get to a point of weakness, right? Anyway, neither here nor there about that. But somebody is praying for faith. They want to have faith in God. They want God to increase their faith. And I will challenge you, like I've done in the past, to know that all you need is a seed. All you need is a mustard seed of faith to get started. And then over time, as you work out, you'll start to see that seed grow and blossom. A seed doesn't become a bigger seed. A seed germinates, right? And then it goes on to bear fruit. So you have to go through the process of developing faith. There's a quote. My husband says it in one of his rap songs. He said, "They tried to bury me, but they didn't know that I was a seed." Right? Life tried to bury you, but life didn't know that that was only going to push you closer to God and push you closer and make you go through that process of developing your faith. So that's powerful, you know. So, thanks. But maybe I'll talk more about this tomorrow. Make sure today your homework for me is to read James. At least read James 1, okay? The first chapter. But you can read the whole thing. I guarantee you, once you start at 1, you're not going to want to stop. It's like a Pringles. Once you pop, the phone don't stop. That's how the Bible is. Anyway, remember, you have everything that you need to live your life bravely. And God has not given you a spirit of fear, but one of power and of love and of a sound mind.